of the day, Blue Stem had $9 million into this deal. $9 million. And when we cashed out 3 years later, we went up there and handed them a check for $63 million.
The success in business, what I found is you treated people so well your entire life. You meet all these people, you create these relationships with no intention on how they're going to help you in the future.
Ever cashing in.
Right? And you treat them so well, and you're nice to them, and you respect them, and they're a friend. And if they ever need anything, you were there to help them. And at any moment, it's not only you have to ask them, if they can find a way to help you, that's the story of this business.
I am much better at giving than getting. If I've given out 1,000 chips in my life, I haven't cashed in 5. I never gave chips out to cash them in.
But if you've given them out, you haven't tracked how they've come back to you in return. But there's been thousands.
100%.
Thousands.
100%.
Right? And now you know it. You didn't always know it.
No. At that point, I mean, somebody needs your help. Somebody wants advice. Somebody needs mentoring. You just do it. Somebody needs a favor. You do it. Where'd
that come from?
My dad was an intelligent businessman, but he had me when he was 19, so he quit college, went and found a job. The guy played in a band. He was all state for 3 years in basketball. He's got baseball. He was an athlete, good looking. He gets my mom pregnant while they're in high school, and so they have me right out of high school and then never have a chance. And we talked about that for years. And I think the fact that he never had a chance. It bothered him all his life. Became an alcoholic, and he talked about it after I had success. But when I had some success at Foot Locker, he was the first one to call me. And when I had success at Hat World and LIDS, and then I sell the company, I buy him and my mom their first house they ever owned. It was a condo. Bought them both new cars. He died a year later from cancer. So it's one of those deals where, dude, you're now gonna, for the next 10 years, we'll have some fun, man. We'll go do some stuff. And we did a bunch of stuff 10 years leading up to his death. He died at 63 of cancer. I mean, he got it, died a year later.
So when he called you, you touched on something. You said when he called you and shared about the things he didn't get to do when you had some success, what were those conversations like?
And it was always, we'd go down to Jupiter to watch Cardinals play every year, spring training. So we'd go down 4 or 5 days.
That's right. You're a huge Cardinals fan.
We'd always end up, at a bar or at the game. So, little booze always gets.
Hey, real quick. Hey, Mike. How did he get invited being a Cardinals fan? How the heck did he get invited to Cincinnati to be a part of this?
Huh? I have no clue.
Well, man, we got to vet these people a little bit better next time.
I know, right?
Because you wanted a winner. I mean, if you're used to Cincinnati sports, you needed a winner. I get it.
So
is there anything here that wins?
I'm here.
I guarantee the volleyball team at UC wins.
You know what we do? We win at
Pivot
life.
Wins.
We win at life.
Okay, there you go.
Because we don't have enough energy to put in our sports.
Yeah. It's got to be
Good
something.
thing.
That is.
So Jupiter, Florida.
Yeah. So we'd go down to Jupiter, and you'd end up through those 3 or 4 days. You'd end up at a bar somewhere, right? A few drinks in you, and that's when the truth serum comes out. The emotional serum, and you start talking about hey, this is what happened. Dad, why didn't you? I mean, he had a tobacco and candy route. And so that guy would get on a truck and he would drive around to convenience stores, grocery stores, and he would pull product off the shelf in the back of his truck, walk into places and deliver it, right? And he'd go into these places before you had guns to scan the stuff. He'd go in with an order sheet and go, "Hey, how you doing, Mark?" Mark owned the Five and Dime or whatever it was. He knew everybody. He knew their kids, knew whatever. Hey, what do you need? Payday. Hey, but we got this new candy bar called Payday or Snicker or whatever it was back in the day, right? And this guy could sell ice water to an Eskimo, and everybody trusted him and everybody loved him. And so I used to be on the route with him. I'm 19 years younger, so when he was 29 in the earning years of your life, I was 10. So he'd take me on routes with him, like when I was off school or on a Saturday. So I'd meet these people, and then I'd sit back on Saturday nights and inventory. You had to inventory the truck because Monday you went in and they filled it back up. And I'd add up the checks from every day's receipts. So I did that stuff. So he made me love business. Now I saw what he did, and I saw, how he treated customers. And so he was my first, hey, if you're good to people, people reciprocate, and that's how he built route. They sent him over to Kentucky, a place where this company had never been, and he built a route.
So where'd you grow up? You say you sent him over to Kentucky.
Yeah.
So where'd you grow up?
I grew up Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Okay. So do you call it Cape? I've heard that.
Yeah,
in the past.
Cape. Yeah,
okay.
the Cape, which is funny.
What's the size of the city in the burbs? Like population?
40,000.
All right.
Yeah,
It's a good city.
Yeah, 40,000 people.
Okay. So how far is it from a major city, St. Louis, KC?
Yeah, we are 2 hours south of St. Louis, 2 hours north of Memphis.
Okay.
Right on Highway 55.
How far from KC?
3
or 4?
6.
Oh, is it 6?
Yeah, 6.
Okay.
We're in the southeast part. They're in the far northwest.
Okay.
So couldn't be any farther apart.
Right.
As you go across the state.
So on those routes, did he intentionally teach you these things, or did you just learn it from being there about how to treat people, how you build the relationships? Did you see it?
Yeah, I watched it, and then we'd get in a car, and it was just a truck. I mean, a big truck. I was in a truck, and he'd always talk about, say, I'd ask questions, and he'd tell me, hey, man, you got to be good to people. It's yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, thank you, please. Those are things you got taught back in those days, man. We're talking, I'm talking mid-70s, and so those are the values you grew up with, and
So those were what you used universally across your life.
100%.
By default, the respect for any adult.
100%. So you learned to respect adults, and then I learned to shake people's hand. I learned to look them in the eye, and you held the door open for women at that age. You learned all of those things that you never thought twice about. It was you watched him do it, and then he told you why you should do it, and you respected that. So even though my old man never made a lot of money, what he taught me was invaluable. So it was so cool, from his age, 50, 52, where I had at least enough money. I wasn't making lots of money, but enough where I could take him on a trip every year. And we loved the Cardinals. We'd go down spring training, and we'd golf and do some things. And the crazy thing is, right when you sell the business, and for the first time in your life have money that is real money, you buy your parents a house, you buy them a car, you take care of all their bills, you sort of retire them because they weren't going to retire, right? They're a couple of years away from 65, getting Medicare and Medicaid and that, Social Security, and he passed away a year later. So I was at the All-Star game in New York City. I'll never forget. So I came home.
The call.
I got the call, came home, barely made it back. He was sitting on the couch waiting for me. My brother Todd come back and talked to him for half an hour, and he laid down, never woke up again. So, yeah. But yeah, I guess the question was, where did you get?
Did you learn? So the things that you have now, that you probably refined maybe on a sales floor in retail,
right?
But you didn't have to learn those.
No, they were just in. You watched it; it was ingrained, and by the time, I was 14 when I had my first job. I was a car hop at a restaurant. It was Blue Hole Barbecue in Cape Girardeau. I mean, you treated people like that when you went out and got their order. And then I was always the guy that got the most tips. You know why? Because it was yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You did all those things that you were taught. Those were easy things.
So when everyone looks at you with your personality and thinks you're a natural at whatever you do, what do you feel about that? Well, you know how every time you do something, they're like, well, you were meant to do that.
Right. I don't know. I don't know how many God-given talents. I definitely don't have any sport talents other than, I can bet, I can place a bet, and I'm not bad at it. But, I think the one thing the good Lord gave me was just a knack, just to, how to talk to people, how to treat people. And
was that built in, though, or was that learned there on those routes?
I think it was
some of both.
I think a little of both. I mean, I think, I think, I don't know what you're born with exactly. I've never got deep into psychology, but watching my old man treat people good, watching my mom. I mean, we never had anything. We everything we worked for. I didn't know we didn't own a house when I was a kid. I thought we always owned our house. We rented. The guy that came over there, I thought was my dad's buddy, was a landlord.
Collecting rent.
I didn't know that, and I didn't know that everybody didn't live in a basement without. I mean, the washer and dryer were closer to me than Mm-hmm. So I mean, at the end of the day, I just thought that's how people lived. It didn't matter to me. And the funny thing is, once you start learning that thing, it sort of motivates you to have more in life. But then it's funny. Then you get old enough where I'm at now, and you go, I really don't care about stuff anymore. It's more about what can I pass on to my kids? What can I leave my kids, when I'm gone 15 years from now, 20 years from now, who knows? We don't know, right? And just so it's what values can I leave to my kids? What values can I leave to people that I meet? I used to talk on universities. I still do a little bit, but I used to go to 6 or 8 universities a year and speak, in an entrepreneur class, Texas A&M, IU, Purdue. And so, you just try to leave a little knowledge and wisdom of, I was you. I remember thinking that way. And every step every stage you're in, it changes just a little bit, and then it kind of comes full circle. Once you've had a little success, people look at you like you're a lot smarter, and I go, I'm no smarter.
I'm not there yet.
No. Right place, right time, right work ethic. Right.
Yep.
Right people surrounding me.
Yep.
But I'm not. I don't know if I'm any smarter. I just knew all along that I wasn't the smartest. So if I'm going to be good, I better surround myself with better people than me.
So when you would go to IU, to Texas A&M, how'd those gigs come about?
We used to recruit on a lot of those colleges when I was with
we?
Foot Locker.
Okay.
Just a lot of the Foot Locker managers in the day. That's where we recruited on those campuses.
Yep.
And then so you get to know people. And then when we started Hat World, same way, we'd go on those campuses to recruit people. So you get to know the deans and stuff like that. So then as you get as you build a company, they always want people to come back that are number one, local, number two, have a story to tell. And at that time, we were a sexy, fun story, right?
Yep.
We were young entrepreneurs.
You're doing what all these kids in these classes
100%.
think they want to do.
And entrepreneurial, that wasn't a class when I was in school. It was business class, right?
It was in high school for me.
It was?
I actually took an entrepreneur class. Had no idea what it was. It was the basketball coach that taught it. It was kind of the throwaway class. Because everybody, what's this in high school? I don't remember much about it, but it was entrepreneurship.
Which is awesome.
Right? I don't even know what I learned totally, but maybe there was one thing.
Right. Well,
Right.
I remember having business classes in school. Dr. Sterrett was one of my teachers. Him and his wife owned a business in town. My favorite class because it was a real life. What do you do every day? What's the P&L look like?
The business plan stuff, they take you through
kidding me?
marketing, all of it.
This isn't just some book we're reading that it might happen. This is a real life. So, I loved them. Those are the classes I liked.
When you were going to IU or Texas A&M, what was the consistent theme? Did you go over the same format, talk about the same things? Was it question and answer? What was it?
It was always tell us about the story. So you hit on the story, right? A little bit of your background, but more of how'd it go? How'd you start it? What'd you do? And then so you told the story for 10 or 15 minutes, and it's usually a 50-minute class. And then it was Q&A. And then you found out, and it depends on what level. It could be an MBA class. They were a little more seasoned, so they would ask different questions. If it was a
sophomore 200.
It was more fun. Man, how'd you figure out hats, man? Do you know the guys from New Era? Did you ever meet? They'd ask you those. Where the NBA guys were going. Hey, so how did you guys give up? Why'd you give up that for this? Why did you make that decision when? Mm-hmm. Did you encounter this? Mm-hmm. And so, and to me, it was always fun because when you get in those classes, those people want to know. And they seriously want to listen.
Versus the people that are working for your company all the time.
100%.
Half the time they're tired of hearing it, right?
100%. Those people, I would have given anything to be in one of those, one of those classes. There's 100 kids in the class, and you're hoping to sit in the back and, skate out with a B. But when they had people come in that were real life people that had done it, dude, I couldn't get enough of it. I'd come every day.
Yep.
And so I'm not saying everybody was engaged all the time, that I'm that good at, but I think schools can do that. And not just if you're into psychology, bring back somebody that went through IU or whatever school and now is a psychologist or a psychiatrist or whatever the case may be, and find people that do that. Because then you're dude, you were here and now you're there. Man, give me the story. I just want to hear it. And then I always offered, hey, here's my business card. Here's this. Call me. And by God, someone would email you. Someone would call you. I got an idea. You'd get one or two every time you spoke.
Do you know any of them today?
There's a couple of them that I still know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, guys that started businesses that did okay, but I still keep in touch with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just, and I, it's one of those things you love. If somebody's, I got a business plan, I got an idea, I've got a thought, to me, I still do that today. I throw it out. I was on calls on the way here today, 6-hour drive. I got a guy I got to call back. That I got to lead a kid that starting a business in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, has got has got a name brand, and I want to give it away, but he's got a name brand that he's built, has no idea how to source, has no idea where to get it, might be able to land a couple big accounts, a couple department stores, has no idea how to do anything.
And you love to help doing that stuff.
Love it, and
it's a fire.
It is. It's just,
So when we were talking about at 10 years old, when you were going around with your dad, I didn't know those stories, right? Some of the stuff I know about you, I didn't know that. I remember maybe some story about him, the routes and all that, but I didn't know you went there with him. So take that 10-year-old Glenn and the things that you learned by default watching him, the conversations that when you would get back in the truck, shaking adults' hands and people that he's selling stuff to. How do kids do that today?
It's a great question because my kids, I've got a daughter 29, son 27, son 19, be 20 in a couple of days, and a daughter that's almost 17. So 29 to 17, 2 girls, 2 boys. Every one of them have never met a stranger, and man, they've watched me. They've went to events with me. They've traveled with me to, they've been blessed. They're spoiled. All-Star games, World Series, Super Bowls. And when you go to those places, when you're in the business I was in, you're in the booth with Roger Goodell. You're in the booth with the commissioner of baseball. And you may not talk to those people, but you're talking to the owner of Papa John's or some actor or some athlete, and so
you're in the room. You're in the room
100%. And there's the guy from Nike, the guy from Reebok, this or that. Hey, by the way, I'm going to introduce you to these people, whether you were 12, 10, 16, 18, 22, and you're going to shake their hand, you're going to look at them, you're going to speak to them, they're going to ask you questions, and you need to give them answers. And so they'd interact. I take my kids back year after year, and how they knew these people. These people now talk to them. They email these people now about certain things. So, Eli, my son, I started taking him to the NBA draft when he was 12. He still speaks to the guys at the NBA, and he's 19, talks to them about stuff. So he's built that. But I have so many people say, man, your kids are so mature. When I talk to them, they shake my hand, they look me in the eye. It's yes, it's no, it's it's not yeah. I go, I hope it's and it's not. Man, that is a lost art on some kids, not all, but I think really, I do believe that somebody in your life had to instruct you.
Yep.
You didn't just because if you were my kids and you just hung around other kids, most of them don't do that.
Okay, so let me ask a question. So if they don't have Glenn Campbell as their dad, how in the hell can anybody figure out opportunity to do that at a young age to get the head start? So here's what they are. On the baseball team, they're already starting on third base, right?
Right.
And so if a kid's starting in the dugout, is it just life? Is it just the hand you're dealt and where you start in life?
I think hopefully somebody in your life comes along. Maybe it's a mother, father, uncle, aunt, good friend, a buddy's dad, a church minister, somebody in business, a coach, I don't know, teacher. Hopefully somebody in their life grabs them. And you know how it is. There's certain people you gravitate. My high school basketball, I never played basketball, it's terrible. But the high school basketball coach is still a very good friend of mine. And Donnie Maurer, he was one of the guys I looked up to. He's probably the one that kept me in high school when I was a pain in the ass when I was a junior in high school, right? And he's the one that said, "Hey, dude, you got a lot going for you, but you don't quit being an idiot. You're going to be, your
life's going to be tough."
This is exactly. And so it's one of those deals where all of a sudden the light clicked on. Yeah, my dad was a good example. My parents were, but sometimes you need somebody else. So yeah, I get it. I got what you said that when people, you hear so much about, people born with a silver spoon. I wasn't that, but you hear about privilege and stuff. Privilege means that you just, to me, you started on third.
Yep.
And didn't mean you had a lot of money. It means you had somebody in your life, teach you the things that you didn't start out at home plate. You were already at first base. You were at second. You were at third. You were somewhere ahead of everybody else that has to get out of the dugout. And to your point, I think that, to me, that is blessed. that is privilege that somebody in your life took that. And for me, it was my parents at a young age.
So that's the thing. It's generationally it's built, right? So your dad started doing it. They weren't wealthy,
Right.
But it was these experience that you had.
100%.
So the question is, though, were you the oldest?
I was the oldest of four. Yep.
Were your brothers and sisters, did they have the same opportunity with your dad on that route?
You know what? I don't think so. My brothers and sisters are awesome. Love them to death. But my next brother is 2 years younger than me. I don't think he really cared about business.
So there's some stuff inside of you that grabbed onto it as
Yeah.
well. So part of it's DNA.
Yep. It was, and I was a little more of an athlete back then. My dad was, so and I was the oldest, and so whether that's good, bad, or sideways, I was the oldest. And then my next brother after that, so Mike was 2 years younger, Todd was 6 years younger. So then after that, it's a whole different mindset, right? I'm 16, life's different.
Parents are in different places. His
different
job's
places,
a little bit different. Everything.
100%.
So when you were 10 years old, do you remember wanting to go?
Oh,
or did he?
100%. Every Saturday he went from where we lived to Jeff City, Missouri. It was probably an hour drive, and he went there to load up the trucks. And I remember the other sales guys. He'd go, hey, shoot, I'd play on the conveyor belts. I mean, I was probably less than 10 at some of those times, and you always got candy because we sold candy, so I'd always get to pick out something.
You didn't have any money to buy it if you didn't get it there.
No, exactly. Somebody can give them to me, or I didn't, steal it off the truck. So I mean, again, you're stealing a bag of M&Ms or whatever. I mean, that was my dad had the best job in the world. We got candy every night.
Probably turned his head every once in a while.
Exactly. Exactly. Inventory was a little short.
Yeah, right. So I wonder with him, if you wouldn't have wanted to go, would he have urged you to go with him, or he would just let you stay at home? He probably would have let you stay at home.
Man, that's a good question. That's probably. I think the fact that I showed interest. I mean, we'd come home at night, and I remember he had this leather wallet with a chain on it, and he would take that out. Yeah, and that's he'd have the cash because you collected on those routes. So you'd walk into.
There wasn't 30 days net.
Oh no! You collected the next time you went in and dropped that product off.
Okay.
So he'd added up $412.
What you sold, the difference.
Yeah, and they pay you. So you had checks and you had cash, and so I'd go home and I'd add that stuff up, and you had that the little ad machine and the paper come out, and so I mean,
what'd you feel about it? You didn't get any of that money. None of that money came to you.
But it was so cool counting it, and I thought checks were money. I didn't know anything about check, but I mean, math is a skill that I learned, and it's just innate to me. I divide, add, whatever. I mean, I'm not crazy Rain Man type, but I'll do stuff. My daughter goes,
How do you do that?
It's just when your dad does that and you learn that. So
you think it was learned behavior. So 100%. As you're talking about free M&Ms, I need a little free drink here.
Oh, look at you.
So we got, not just me.
I love it. Oh, we're drinking. I love it. A little bourbon.
So the question is, there's a Weller Antique 107.
Hey, dude, I
don't know a ton about bourbon.
I don't know. I know less than you know.
But I know that because where are we? We're in the state of Kentucky.
You are. It's bourbon.
It's bourbon.
Yeah, 100%.
If it isn't made and refined in Kentucky, it ain't bourbon. It's whiskey.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Even though my drunk old man drank Wild Turkey. I don't know what yours drank, but he drank some.
Yeah, that was one.
Was
Jack.
Wild Turkey must have been cheap because we were poor.
Yep.
Man, that was a hell of. So I'm going to get a little something here. Maker's a little too sweet. How about a little?
You pour it, I'll drink it. I mean, I'm not a bourbon guy,
hey,
but
Mike,
I'll
I
do
need
it.
some. I need some rocks, man.
Yeah, we need.
You know where the ice
yeah,
is?
I need a cube. I can't drink this. I'll die.
Oh, listen. Hey, he's so snotty though. Hey, he grew up with nothing, but he's got it all now. So if you can put him in a cup and bring him, but hey, he wants the cubes that we actually formed to go in the bottom of the glass.
Oh, I'd take that. I mean,
we don't have
Mike,
that. Sorry, sir.
Oh.
We're not that sophisticated.
Mike, I'll do anything. I'd take Sonic Ice. I don't care.
Hey, we're the necessary entrepreneur. You got to create everything yourself.
Oh, I love that. I love that. The necessary. That's what this is called. The necessary. I love that.
The podcast is.
That's cool.
And so, see the right side of the brain. We're taking what's in our brain and we're plugging it in, and it's lighting the world up, man.
You come up with that?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, 100%. Came up with the logo and everything. Gave it to my guy. He took it out and designed it. I sketched it out on a piece of paper. But yeah.
That's legit.
Yeah, there's principle.
Hey, I mean, you were always good, but I didn't know you were that good.
You had no idea.
Nope, I didn't. Hey, it's like no matter where you're at, wear a hat. I mean, that's my marketing phrase. So
I love that. So where'd that come from? So hey, talking about your story while he gets us some rocks. So you start out Foot Locker, but your significant business success that a lot of people would recognize, the co-founder of what was Hat World.
Yeah, right.
And then a lot of people don't know that brand. We kind of know it in some of the small Midwestern markets.
Sure.
But then the story is then you acquired LIDS, and then this thing just took off.
Correct.
So you're co-founder of Hat World that bought LIDS, and You guys sold it.
Blew
So
it up.
tell us this story, and
Yep.
I'm gonna play off of it a little bit. And man, Hat World.
Right.
How the hell did Hat World generic? Is could you come up with any more of a generic name?
No. We were. You're right. I came out of college.
Thanks, man.
I came out of college and went right into Foot Locker.
Okay, Foot Locker.
And I loved it, man. At that time, dude, referee stripes. You're making, $105 a week plus commission. I mean, that seemed like a lot of money to me. I don't, it really. My dad thought I was crazy as hell. But
No drinks yet.
Yeah, no drinks. But I.
Your dad thought you were crazy.
Yeah, I love the fact that they were going to teach you how to run your own retail store. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to run a retail store.
So what was their argument when they were recruiting you? A whole probably different world. You started with Foot Locker when?
I started with Foot Locker back in 1987.
Was it like a manager training?
100% manager training program. And so I already had a job with Procter & Gamble. I
You were
managed.
coming to Cincy?
Yeah, I managed a grocery store for no. There's a Procter & Gamble based in Cape. Cape Girardeau's got a factory there, but I was working in a grocery store for 6 years. That's how I put myself through college. And they said, dude, as soon as you're done, we got a job for you. So they company car, shirt and tie. I was going to go call on grocery stores and stuff. And
Cheers.
sell, cheers.
Hey,
dude.
smell it real quick. Smell that. That stuff, no joke. That is
That
good
is
bourbon.
that's bourbon whiskey.
Is that
you
wicked
drink
or-
this, Mike?
Hey, you know what that stuff costs?
I do not.
Oh god.
You know what that stuff costs? Hey, ask him what he drinks though.
more
Hey
than
Mike.
I make.
Hey Mike. So Mike, the producer back here. Hey, what do you drink, man? Be honest.
I drink a little bit of Hennessy.
Little Hennessy. I like
Ooh.
it.
Hey, do you really want some?
No, I'm fine.
No, I don't blame you. Are you kidding me? This stuff.
No, it won't. But hey, cheers.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, man. This is gonna be great. I can't wait until after tonight. You're gonna grace me with all your intelligence and about tell me what's going on in the world of Missouri.
That'll take about 12 minutes.
So
It'll take long.
go back.
Wow. That's not like Coors Light. Woo.
That's 2 shots.
Woo.
We're gonna be having fun at the end of here.
Oh, my
we'll be
God.
calling Uber. I won't be driving.
Oh my God.
So manager training program.
Yeah. So I just
P&G.
I had a job there. I went and these guys came into Cape Girardeau. It's one of those deals when you're in college, you sign up for people come on campus and recruit you.
Yep.
When you sign up for them, the big thing was you do not stand those people up. They're on campus because we want them to come back. So, I could have stood them up, but then maybe they don't come back to see most campus next year because they didn't have a good experience. So you were always taught as a student, do not stand those people up. And you made a commitment. It's part of learning, right? So I already had a job with P&G. These guys were coming to campus. My last last interview. These 3 guys must have came to Cape Girardeau the night before because they were hungover as this guy.
Those are the best stories.
Yeah. Terry Schott was one of them.
Yep.
He was with us for a long, long
Yeah.
time. Pete Hammer.
Yep.
Was another one.
And he's crazy.
Oh
too.
yeah. So these guys couldn't even sit up straight in the chair, but I don't know how, but they talked me into wearing the stripes. So I went home, told my dad, "Say, Dad, I'm not gonna make $21,000 a year with a company car. I'm gonna go work for Foot Locker selling shoes, making $100 a week." He lost his mind. He thought I was an
You
idiot.
didn't go to college for this.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't raise you this way.
Lost his-
Yeah, you didn't do
The good
everything.
news is I paid for college.
But still,
Yeah.
we didn't raise
Yeah,
you
100%.
to be that guy
You're not-
to go
yeah.
do this. You have a chance that I never had.
100%. And I said, well, I paid for college. I want to do this. I did. So went and had success. I mean, I was manager trainer. I mean, every award they ever had there in my area, I won. What was tough about Foot Locker is the big boys came out of Chicago, L.A., New York.
Vice presidents.
Yeah, all the
people
all,
that could DMs,
all-
district
yeah,
managers.
You had to go to those cities, and in Indianapolis, little nap town, we were killing it. We were absolutely killing
Like,
it.
what were the metrics when you say killing it? What were the metrics?
Dude, we were top 10 Jordan store in the country. We just had the best people. We had the best. I was a manager trainer. Myself and Scott Moland were manager trainers. We had the best managers.
So how long did that take to go from when you came out of college and
2 years to manage your own store?
that was it? So it actually happened. You'd go
24
through
months. Uh-huh.
Okay.
And sometimes a little less.
And then how far from there to when you're rocking it in your number 10 Jordan store?
3 or 4 years.
Okay, so you're
maybe.
26, 27.
Oh yeah,
right?
100%, yeah.
And then when did you become a manager trainer?
Right around then.
Okay.
Yeah, right around then. So
How'd
yeah.
that happen? They're just like, they're killing it. They're doing something right. They're running margins.
Well, I was hiring people, and everybody I hired, they take them and put them in another store because they need managers. So they take all my assistants and they'd go manage the stores. And then you look up and, 10 of your guys are managing the whole district's your guys. And they go, well, this guy knows what he's doing. He's putting good people out there. Their audits are great. Their sales are great. Their people are great.
They're great.
Yeah, so let's figure out.
So we want you training the
whatever
people.
he's doing. Yeah, we want you training. Right, you guys got programs here, right? You're training people.
Yep.
Hey, we want the people that are good at what they do, that understand our business, that get our culture, that do it the right way. We want you. Anybody coming in new, they're going through.
So
you guys.
when you say culture, was it taught back in the 90s?
Foot Locker. Oh yeah, dude.
So it was taught.
Oh,
so speak to it.
The best I have ever
Hey,
seen.
can you not handle this? Like,
Oh,
do you need a little
no.
chaser? Do you need some diet or
Oh,
some Coke Zero?
No, I got water.
Okay, I
I
just
can
didn't know
chase
if you
with
were. I
water.
just didn't know if you were.
Are we supposed to be slamming this?
No,
Mike?
I mean I saw it sitting there. Look at the comparison now on the levels.
Well, yeah, because you poured me more. I mean, I know how he gets, dude. You know how he gets. We go run the tape. I guarantee it.
Wow. But if you're a bourbon drinker,
People drink that, man. I mean, I'm gonna choke this down. I mean, it actually.
doesn't it?
I'm trying to acquire a tace for bourbon.
Yeah, because it's so hip now, isn't it?
Oh,
It's so hip.
I'm just not hip.
Hey, you know what we bought?
Now you can get me vodka.
Well, we'll
You can
get some
me
vodka.
gin.
Tonight. We'll get some gin tonight.
Right. I mean, beer, but
So hey,
Woo.
I'm going to get back on the culture thing, but you know what we did really cool? When this company started, this isn't about me, but I'm sitting here drinking this bourbon. Just last month, I paid for a single barrel of bourbon. So there's a new distillery. Usually it's the Four Roses. It's these old from Louisville. Nobody usually ever gets in the game. Well, there's this new distillery called New Riff. Don't know if you've heard of them.
yeah, but
Now they're relevant, but they started in northern Kentucky. So they didn't want to acknowledge them down south, right? You're not a part of the bourbon trail and all
Sure.
this. So they put millions of dollars in it. They now are on the bourbon trail that extends to northern Kentucky. This bourbon is legit. So now they're there because you have to have it aged all these years. It's coming out. So we spent $12,000 and bought us a single barrel.
Awesome.
We get to go to the tasting, get to
Yep.
pick the barrel. It's in one of those.
100%.
And then we get 226 custom
Bottles.
engraved pivot bottles for all this. So
awesome. That's cool. That's cool.
So
I've heard people doing it for Maker's Mark and
oh, but it's badass. And and it's local. So everybody else that comes in January to this, they're going
Right.
to go home with one. So unfortunately,
So how long does it take to age that?
I think it has to sit there. I think 3 years minimum.
Gotcha.
Right. I think.
So you did this a while back.
No, they've been aging it that long.
Oh, gotcha,
I
gotcha,
just bought.
gotcha.
They have barrels that they've reserved for
Gotcha.
this.
Gotcha.
So when they say single barrel, that barrel didn't come or go out of anything. It's been
Gotcha.
in that barrel for that extended period of time. Normally, they just dump in a vat, I think, and make thousands of bottles.
Right.
Our 226 bottles are going to be the only ones that taste just like that.
That's awesome.
And so, in December, sorry you don't get one, but in
That's
January,
right.
everybody will.
Yeah, exactly. But he's gonna send one to all his guests in
We are.
January.
We
It's
are.
okay.
Oh, little pack. So, back to the Foot Locker culture. Because this culture thing is it's such a word these days. It's a contemporary word. Everybody's talking about culture and brand and all that. You know what? They're talking out of their ass
It's
most
almost
of the
it's
time.
almost lost its cachet. It's almost lost its value. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know that when people say that today, and I follow stocks, right? I'm not an expert by any means, but you pay attention to the business world. I get up. I mean, if I read anything in the morning, I don't believe a lot of stuff I read, but I do believe the business part of. And so, man, I'll read something about a new business or an old business or, somebody just went public. I'm trying to think of who just went public. DoorDash.
Yep.
Some of these, and then the next day,
Airbnb either
Airbnb.
did. Yep.
Back to back. Those are two incredible. But people talk about culture. It seems like it's more about money than it is about culture today. And so, I mean.
So when
and
you
again,
say that,
I mean, again, that's not bad. I mean, money is, I guess, why you get into business. But
when you say that, when you say Foot Locker and they taught us the culture, so to you when you say it, what was that?
it was I mean, you came up and you did things a certain way. People walk in the door, you greeted them within 5 seconds. The customer was always right. Anything and you laced shoes and put it on their feet. You just didn't hand it to them. Everything. Your stripes, your pants were pressed. Everything. Your shoes were clean. Everything you did had a purpose, and you had fun doing it, man. And you worked hard. And then, man, after work, we'd head to the wing joint, and we'd
Dollar
play.
beer nights.
Yeah, we'd have a blast. And you know what? You're that part-time. You're the full-time kid that was not making a couple $100 a week. Somebody else would take care of you, and then you sort of paid that forward as you made a little more money. And you always took the new people out, and it's just, it probably wasn't good for a marriage back then, but man, for a culture, it was unbelievable, man. And they needed somebody in Chicago. You go on your day off and you help open a store. I mean, and so all of the things I learned about how to build a business when I started Hat World came from Foot Locker. They were the best. Now, mid-90s, they hit a skid. New ownership, new CEO came in. They're a public company, but new CEO came in. I'll never forget who, Roger Farah. I mean, and he came in and it became about money. It was no longer about culture.
Did he come up through the company?
He came up through like Federated department stores, and so walked in automatically, and all of a sudden he didn't care if you were working 80 hours. He didn't cut bonuses, cut the trips, cut the perks. That the reasons you put in all those hours, it wasn't because you're making a lot of money, because we weren't, but we loved our job. And so that's when I knew it was time to get out. And Scott Molander and I, a buddy of mine, that he was a manager trainer in Indy too.
My chaser.
Yeah, here you go, Diet Coke. That's probably smarter. But we about 94, we came up with an idea and said, "Hey man, let's start something." And
so it came from let's start something.
Let's start
so
something.
So it was an entrepreneurial idea.
100%. So we looked at each other.
See, I didn't know this.
Yeah, we go, let's Athlete's Foot franchise. See, we called Athlete's Foot. They go, "Oh yeah, you guys are in. Yeah, you guys Foot Locker for 7 years? Dude, you're the kind of people we want. You guys got a little money? Oh yeah, we don't have any money, but we can raise money. We can get money." And so the reason we didn't do it is because they did not allow franchisees back then to merchandise. Moland and I were brilliant at product. I mean, we were good at.
So when you mean merchandise, step outside of their book of the merchandise you could buy. You couldn't merchandise at all.
They weren't going to let you. We knew. I mean,
you knew the suppliers.
Our hat sales inside a Foot Locker store back then were
3%, not even
0.5%, not even a percent. Shooting our stores.
How much wall space was dedicated to it?
Hell, a huge wall. The entire wall behind the counter, as big as what you have in here.
And it was 0.3.
It was nothing. It was you know what? It took up space.
Yep.
And so what we'd do is we'd call around and we'd get hats sent in. We'd trade hats with people, and we were running 3, 4, 5% hats. New York, the merchandise would call and go, "Dude, what are you doing?" I said, "Dude, we're
giving the customers what they want."
100%. This was way pre-internet, right? And so we knew we were good at what we did. So Athlete's Foot, we would have bought into the Athlete's Foot franchise, opened 1, 2, 3, 10, whatever, but they didn't let us have control over merchandise, and that was a deal breaker. So we met a couple of our friends that happened to be working for Hat Zone and Hat Club at the time. A Hat Zone out in Phoenix, Danny Ainge, Charles Barkley were involved in that one, and then Hat Club was based in Kansas City. Mike Henneman, he was a reliever for the Detroit Tigers. It's funny, like sports guys were in that at the time, and we're talking early
93,
90s.
94.
Yeah, exactly, early 90s. And so Scott and I both got P&Ls and information from both of these guys that were they had about 5 stores each, and we saw this and we go, both of them would have sold us a franchise. And I looked at him, I go, why would we pay them 6 or 7% of what we're going to make when we can do this ourselves? We're going to be as good as they are.
Did you have the feeling like we can do this better?
We can do it as good.
So it was as good initially.
100%. Now, I don't have Charles Barkley or Danny Ainge or Mike Henneman, but so we just got to find money. And so, we stood on a corner and held out a tin cup. I mean, that's how we raised money. It was a friends and family, 5,000 here, 10,000 here. We had we showed the business plan to one of Scott's professors, George Berger, up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
You had to go to South Dakota to raise money. Now let's be honest, that is like holding a tin cup, because that means nobody else wants a piece of this shit.
Nobody did.
South Dakota.
And I don't know if I've been back. I'm kidding. Great people in South Dakota.
So
yeah, we went up there and begged and borrowed and told people the story. Hey, we're going to open these hat stores, man, and we're going to kill it. And I don't know why people believed us. I mean, we were good salesmen at the time.
How much money did you raise?
We raised about.
Had you opened a first Hat World yet before you raised that money?
No, we raised about. God, maybe $100,000, maybe. And
what that $100,000 do? What did it do?
We were able to open one store.
So you remodeled it, bought inventory, $100,000.
We went to. So we got money, got about $100,000, and then we went to all the mall managers that we knew from Foot Locker and said, "Hey,
in Indianapolis,
we got this concept called Hat." In the Hat World thing you were asking earlier, that was us sitting at an Applebee's bar one night, because we sat at a lot of bars in our time with Foot Locker and Hat World. And we drew this up on a bar napkin. We were talking about it, and we came up with 1 million names, man. And at the end of it, we just go, let's just call it Hat World. I mean, boring, terrible.
What else would you expect from a couple guys working in the middle of the state of Indiana?
We weren't marketing geniuses.
You said you were merchandisers.
I said we're merchandise. We weren't marketing. Even though I'm a marketing, that was my major in college, but I wasn't very good at it. I wasn't as good as you were with this necessary.
Hey, listen, I just come up with the idea and they execute it.
Well, which is good.
Right?
I mean, we couldn't do either of one of those. But we, so, it was one of those deals where I go, Scott, we went and we said, let's go to Greenwood Mall, which is a good one in Indianapolis. So let's go to Castleton. The mall manager goes, dude, that's a dumb idea. And we're sitting there going, geez, we've got a business plan. We know we're good. We can buy the product. We know all the vendors. Now malls wouldn't let you in. So finally somebody goes, go to Tippecanoe Mall in Lafayette, Indiana, right where Purdue is. There's a guy named David Lee. He's the mall manager up there. He does a lot of temp stores for Christmas. Dude, he'd love to have you guys. We went up there and met this guy. He goes, hell yeah, you guys got more retail experience than most people that put in, temporary kiosks during Christmas. He goes, dude, I usually get farmers in here putting a calendar shop up, or I get, a housewife wanting to do knickknacks. You guys at least know how to run a business.
So when they sent you to Tippecanoe Mall, was it because it wasn't a top-performing mall, or was it because that guy was creative enough? So was it a combination?
Nope. That
it was him.
Yeah.
So it was a good mall.
Yeah, good mall. I was good.
Okay.
Good regional mall.
Okay.
And so we went up there, opened the store. I was the only one that was working because we couldn't afford two people. Scott went and worked in Target to learn distribution because we figured if we're going to grow, we had no distribution. So he worked at Target. So
for how long?
Scott went to Target for about a year.
So you intentionally did that so he could learn distribution?
Oh, 100%. He went there maybe for a year and a half. The joke of the thing is that I made $36K a year because that's all we could afford to pay me, and he was making about $60K a year at Target. So here I am.
He didn't give you half of the difference.
Hell no. Here I am working to grow a business we're trying to do.
60, 70 hours a week.
Yeah, and he was doubling. Man, he made double my salary. Now, he did come up and work.
Did he buy the beers at Applebee's afterwards?
I can't remember. Probably. He probably did. I'm going to give him that. But the good, he would come. He may work 50 hours at Target and work another 20 hours. So it isn't like he didn't give.
Get it. You just like to bring that up. I bet you
every time.
Yeah,
every time I get a chance. I don't get a chance about once every 5 years. But so we were able to open one store. And had a little success with it, to the point that I think it was right after Christmas. And the crazy thing is, and now you may know the story, but I lived in that store. At that time, I was going through a divorce, and so I didn't have anything. I had 2 nickels rubbed together, right? So
where'd you get a shower?
I showered at a guy that ran Luca Pizza. Man, he was about twice a week I'd shower. And the great thing about a hat business is, for a guy, you got short hair, you're just throwing a hat. Ain't nobody gonna know. I mean, as long as you didn't smell. No,
you spray it up. You just spray up the right guard. Was that back then?
We had a sink. We had a sink back in the back, so you dab up a little bit, and maybe put the head under the sink, and wash the hair a little bit. But no, I mean, you.
How many hats did you sell the first 6 weeks? Did you open during the holiday season?
About 6,000 hats.
You sold 6,000 hats
from mid-November to the end of December,
which was about $100,000 in receipts.
About $100,000. Then they came to us and said, I'm waking up about 10 till 10 one day, getting ready to open the gate up, and my eyes are probably half open, and here comes 4 or 5 suits up to my gate. And I go, oh no, it's a mall manager and some of the Simon folks.
Yep. So
coming
they're
up,
a
developers and coming up and saying, I'm going, oh dude, we're
they're
out.
Gonna shut us down.
Because we had a 2-month lease. We were out I think it was November 15th to January 15th. So 2 more weeks we were out. And I'm thinking, oh dude, they found out I was sleeping in the store. We're out, right? And they came up, hey, how you guys doing? What's going on? Glenn, how's business? Oh, it's a little bit slow now after Christmas, but man, we had a great first 6 weeks.
Inventory.
Yeah, we're good. And they go, well, we were really impressed with your operation, with what you did, and we'd like to have you guys go to our mall in Muncie, and then we've got a mall in Champaign, and I go, great, man. Let me talk to Scott and talk about and see if we can do it. So we opened those 2 stores up, and then they said, you know what, we'd like you to go permanent in this mall. You're only on like a month-to-month lease. We're getting ready to open a brand new wing, so we anchored their brand new wing.
Was that a good move?
Yeah.
Or is it actually a worse location?
No, it was a better location.
Okay.
Better location. Better. We were in a 4,000 square foot spot.
Wow.
All we did is wall it off.
Yeah.
That's why I could sleep in it. I mean,
Okay.
that's bigger than any house I've ever owned, right?
Well, until
Yeah, until like yesterday. I mean, no, but so it was.
So when I said, was that a good move, and you went,
it's one of those deals where you always think you got to have the nicer car, except for that first one gets you from point A to point B. So we could have probably stayed where we were. It wasn't sexy looking, but we thought we had to build a brand, have a new store. Looking back on it, and again, if you looked at our first, you were there in the early days. There wasn't anything sexy about the stores we had. We went in and we took places that people vacated. We took closets. We took whatever it would take, put slat wall up, put in fixtures that were used, anything for a display case or a counter, and we went at it. So we were never.
So you raised $100,000, bought inventory, built a store out. What'd you do for more money for that second, third store?
So we kept nickel and diming it, raising money from family members until we got to store 5, and we always made money. And when I say made money, we may have made $500. We may have made a few thousand. You paid people and you paid bills, but you were breaking even. But you were in the black. We were never in the red. Never lost money. And
that's huge.
That's huge
from month one.
100%.
What business can tell that story?
It's 100. We laugh about that all the time.
Every business that me and you look at, like operating my business, and we go to other cities and stuff you fund, you're like, well, how long is this going to be a loss?
Right. We're going to be in the red for 18 months, 24 months, 36 months, 5. What is it? A year? Right. So we made
in the
money
black from day one.
Day one, and it was because I was making nothing, and the people I hired, I'd pay $5 an hour cash. They weren't on my pay. I mean, you
were still paying us $5 an hour.
100%
years
as
later.
long as we could. Not even putting you on W-2s or anything. We just 1099'd you, man, whatever it took.
So after
Beer
the 5th
money.
store, you had to go rate. What'd you do?
So what happened is a couple guys in South Dakota, Blue Stem Capital. I don't know if they'll listen to this. Maybe I send a link or something. But these guys still raise money today. I mean, they're a capital fund. They were starting Blue Stem 1, which was their first. I think now they're on.
Was this George Berger guy a part of that?
No, he wasn't part. He had his own little venture fund, but Paul Schock and Steve Kirby, sharp dudes. One of them was a lieutenant governor of South Dakota at one time. I don't know their background completely, but I think they came from a little bit of money, and these were smart business guys, right?
Probably went to some blue blood school or something. Got an MBA from who knows where, Wharton or some shit.
And
or something.
They were in, one was in politics, so knew some people, right?
Yep.
And so at the end of the day, they heard about this little business, and they go, "Hey, we're raising a fund, $5 million, and we want to give $1 million to like 5 different businesses, and so we're going to interview some people." And so we flew up there to interview with these guys. I'll never forget it, man.
I got to hear this story.
Yeah, we had 10 guys in a room, and these were successful guys. I mean, I've put money into funds like that, and most of the time you don't win. I mean, it's you put them in 5 funds, and you hope to God you if you're lucky, right? And so they, I'll never forget it. We were telling our story, and you got 10 guys sitting in a room plus those guys, and
guys with money.
Guys
that you're trying to sell.
And they're putting $500,000 in, right? Each one of them putting $500,000 into a fund that's going to have $5 million and give $1 million to 5 entrepreneurs.
How many people
were
pitching that day?
I don't know how many people. I know they ended up giving all 5 out.
Okay.
But so I'll never forget a guy standing up. This guy had a red hair, beard. He owned a bunch of Burger Kings. I'll never forget him. You could tell people were listening. They were intrigued with our story. They liked, and this guy goes, "Are you shitting me? We're thinking about giving $1 million to 2 guys selling baseball caps. Are you guys crazy?" And I looked at Scott and I looked at each other and go, "Holy shit!"
Here it
And
goes.
we ended up getting the money.
You know what we know now as business? That's who that guy always is.
Oh yeah.
And those people in the room knew that.
100%.
You didn't know then. You're like, oh shit, he's going to take the whole
we're
thing
done.
down.
We're done.
You know, when he said that, he might have done you a favor.
100%.
Because by him saying that, everybody's like, you know what? We've been waiting
Yeah.
for this guy to say this to one more person, and we want to fund it just because he's being an asshole.
Mm-hmm. Never thought about that. You're right. There's always one of those.
Yes, always. And
Always
in
one
the
of those.
room, that's why I bet no one said anything back to him.
No.
And they were just, everybody knew, like, you know what? Screw him. We're
Right.
tired of listening to his dumb shit.
Yeah, we
Right?
outvote you. You
Yeah.
want in, you're out.
He probably wants us to give $1 million to somebody putting some more corn in the ground. We
Right.
see that every damn day.
Yep, exactly. We want
Right?
something different.
Because that's what
man.
he knows.
So,
So what happened is, how much of the business that did you have to give up?
Man, and again, I won't get these numbers. Those are the lessons that you go,
Well, that's what we're here for.
damn.
That's what we're here for.
I wish I knew that, because we gave up way too much ownership. Now, Blue Stem, if they ever hear this, they'll laugh. But they knew we had no money, but we knew what we were doing. We had a little 5-store chain that could become a regional chain. That who knows? And back then, we had barely heard. We didn't even know LIDS existed, right? We were Hat World, the Midwest.
So LIDS was the opposite brand out of the big city from Boston, MA.
100%,
right?
Boston, MA, two kids, Doug Carp, Doug and
We can come back to it if not.
Yeah, but the two young men,
Yep. From Boston.
Yep, and their parents were
Wealthy.
real wealthy. Yeah, one was a billionaire developer, and one was a multimillionaire. I mean, these guys
So
were
it like stroke the check, boys.
Ben Fishman, Doug Carp.
Okay.
Give those guys credit. They started on a cart, but when you start with 20 million and you got J.P. Morgan and people like that, and we're bootstrapping this thing. We don't make payroll for 5 straight Christmases.
What's bootstrapping mean?
I mean,
so because here in this world now, there's some words now that me and you actually embraced, and we still do: hustle, grind,
Right.
work ethic. Now there's a lot of people shouting those down.
Right.
There just are. It's a weird word. And so I see people say, what does bootstrapping even mean? Because even if people did have bootstraps, they wouldn't be able to pull themselves up.
right. Well,
I believe in it, but what's that mean, bootstrapping?
bootstrap means you were living day to day, week to week, month to month, and we just you rob Pete to pay Paul. Hey guys, you know what? We can't pay you guys in December because all our money's in inventory. But when we have a kick-ass Christmas, which we're going to have, because you guys are going to be on sales for selling it, you're going to get your December money in January. No one's going to flip you a little bonus. But they had to believe in us, man. We bootstrapped. I mean, it took everything you had just to keep the lights on, and we did that for 5 years. So these guys came along at store 5.
Okay, they gave you $1 million.
$1 million, which was ridiculously crazy.
What'd you think when that was happening? When you got that call?
I thought that was the greatest thing ever. Problem is, we gave up too much ownership.
Do you have any idea what you gave up?
Yeah, we gave up probably somewhere between 20 and 30% for that first $1 million.
But was that too much though? Like thinking back as you, the investor now, like let's go here. I'm going to challenge you on this. So you guys had what were revenues that you had projected just from those 5 stores?
God, at that time we were doing
300 a store.
Yeah, we were doing just a little over $1 million because the stores weren't all open for a year.
Yep, so $1.2 million.
$1.2 million, making $100,000.
Okay.
So you think about it, they're giving you $1 million to a company that's barely making money, right? It's breaking even.
So let's be honest. Go back then, and you're one of the 10 guys.
Not in a million years, I wouldn't have done.
So did you give up too much equity? Because you wouldn't have even done it.
Probably not. But I know what I know now. We could have negotiated. And the thing is, you don't think about those things.
Yep.
And if you fast forward, did I just burp in the microphone? I forgot to hit the. Oh, that's terrible. They even told me how to do this right, and I didn't do it right. See, it's the bourbon. Mike, it's the bourbon.
Did they tell you to eat the mic too?
Yeah,
that's the term.
Yeah, because I'm eating this thing. So at the end of the day, if you fast forward through this thing, none of that matters when your business is barely off the ground and you're broke. But it matters when you sell it for $180 million and you go, wow, we own 8% and we could own 10. And you're going, 2% is $3.6 million. What the hell were we thinking, 7 years ago, 10 years ago? But, that is the question that's asked of me the most. Would you have done this? Would you have done that? You know what? I wouldn't have done anything any differently because to your point, if we didn't have that $1 million, we'd never get anywhere.
No. So what are you going to do with $100,000 profit every year? Open one store every 10 months?
100%.
Right? And then all of a sudden, somebody else comes along and they eat your lunch.
Yeah, because they have more money, they do it quicker, and it's over with. So no, we knew that, and then once we found out there was a LIDS and they were taking up mall spaces, we knew we had to grow. And so, Blue Stem, and you think that Blue Stem Capital through the years.
Did they refund you any more after that?
Oh,
they gave you $1 million.
Oh, we kept growing. They kept put money in.
So what they have how much did they have invested when it sold for $180 million?
So how about this story? So in 01, LIDS filed for bankruptcy. So it's Hat World and LIDS. Hat World's 150 stores.
Yep.
LIDS is 450 doors. Yep. They're doing 40 million. We're doing. We're doing 40 million.
Yep.
They're doing about 150 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're making a couple $1 million a year. We didn't know it. They were losing money, right?
Looked good, didn't it?
Yeah,
The
they were
facade
sexy.
looked good.
Dude, their stores looked better. The
systems, the
malls,
inventories, all of it.
Everything. Their managers were getting paid more. They hired
giving away BMWs on sales contests.
They did all kinds of stuff. Marketing. They were showing up at Super Bowls and giving away basketballs, and so they were
throwing them at us.
Yeah, they were throwing at us. You remember that in Indy? Still, Dan LeBlanc, who even lives this. Dan, I love you. They'll be So, but
just
again,
so he knows.
Yeah,
that made me hate him a little bit.
Just so Danny knows.
That made me hate him a little bit.
One of the smartest kids I've ever met. But 100%. But that was the difference, man. That was the difference between Midwestern guys that bootstrapped it versus, the East Coast. And I'm not saying anything bad about that, but you start out with a Ferrari. I jump in my little Honda.
No, not a Honda.
What was it like a Nissan?
Nissan.
What was it like a Ford Pinto?
It was a rusted out Ford Escort.
Yeah, and
with 10 people in the same family in the back.
That's awesome, dude. That's what we had.
We didn't even have enough money to take it to the shop, put some Bondo to fix the rust.
And we thought that was good. We thought we were living in tall cotton, man.
It's all what you think.
That's it.
It's all perception.
We loved it.
So Blue Stem, when you sell, so you bought 2001, LIDS goes bankrupt.
Yep.
So explain this.
So we knew when we met those guys, we were trying to do a private placement. We were trying to go public, which was crazy idea.
Oh yeah, it was about to happen.
I was on a road show doing all things.
Was it going to happen? Because you guys made us feel like it was about to happen.
Oh yeah, it was close. It was close.
We don't have to talk about the dirty stuff. Why? But
it was close. And then what happened is 9/11.
Was that really what happened?
100%. 100%. 9/11 hit. And 9/11. Once 9/11 happened, you looked and you go, what if somebody straps a bomb to their back, walks in a Walmart or a mall? We're done. Ain't nobody ever going to shop a mall again. Hell, I'd never go. It's kind of like this pandemic right now. You kind of wonder, are we ever going to eat in restaurants again? Are we ever going to go to a concert? Yes, we will.
Yep.
But you're sitting right now and you're a concert venue going, or I'm a theme park going, what in the hell? Or I'm a baseball team going, oh my God, are anybody ever going to come to a game again? Mm-hmm. Right? So,
that happened.
We were thinking the same thing. So we pulled it off the table, met with those guys, and they said to us, they go, hey, we'd like you guys to join us. We'd like we'll buy you guys, we'll join the companies together. Obviously they
bring us in here in these rooms because these are things that small entrepreneurs don't get to go through.
Right.
In those meetings, in those conversations, the face-to-faces, you're staring each other down. Who's going to give in? Yeah. Is it going to happen?
Well,
Take us through this.
We're the minnow. They're the whale. I mean, and everybody knows LIDS. Hardly, unless you were from the Midwest, you didn't know Hat World.
And you know how many people walked in our stores and said, hats?
Yeah.
What the hell? And if I now pulled the sales out from store number 10 out of like 370 square feet in the Florence Mall and showed them $500,000 in hat sales, people would have dropped their drawers right there and just
100%, 100%. And we were making money. Yep. They weren't. Yeah, it's great that they were at $150 million. They were losing money. Yep. We knew they overpaid for real estate. We know that their merchandising scheme wasn't right. They were cookie cutters, so it didn't matter what
same
city
shit
you were
everywhere.
In. And for us, we knew at Florence Mall we need to have NASCAR. We were somewhere else. We needed to have.
Why you gotta have NASCAR?
Florence Mall, y'all. Come on, that was. Well, don't you have you have a NASCAR track close to here, don't you?
We didn't then.
But you were building one, babe. We knew it was coming. Now this is a little more of the country here, just like where I grew up. I loved it, man. We were in West Virginia, dude. We were in
There's a top
North
35
Carolina.
City right here behind you, through this window. I'm just letting you know.
Cincy?
Yeah, just
I
letting
know,
you
but they love NASCAR.
Okay, go ahead.
They used to anyway. And there's a NASCAR driver from here, right?
I don't know. If there is, we don't know him.
Oh. Dang.
So you know more NASCAR than us. So maybe Missouri's a little more.
I used to. So
the LIDS thing.
Yep. So
the inventory was no good. Their approach was just wrong.
That's what we felt, right? And so we left those guys, and we met on Wall Street. We met.
You did?
We met. Oh yeah. They flew us into New York City, or we flew. I don't think they flew us. We
Private
flew
jet?
No. We
First
flew,
class?
No, nothing.
I don't believe
Are you kidding me? We probably drove there, knowing what way we were.
Yeah.
But we we flew out there, met these guys. It's one of those deals. I'll never forget this. It was about four of us: myself, Scott Molander, Ken Coker, Jim Harris. I think Bob Dennis might even been with us at the time. I don't know if he was or wasn't.
It was close.
But we had 4 or 5 people, and they had 3 or 4 people. We show up, we're at Wall Street. It's closed, right? It's after hours. It's probably 8 o'clock. And we sit down at this table. It's the biggest table I've ever sat at. And
40 people could have sat at.
It feels like, if my memory right, Mike and I are probably, Mike, what are we, 20 feet apart?
15 to 18.
And it felt like we were that farther than that away from each person. It's like we were socially distancing before it was really a term, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was just a weird meeting. They told us a little bit about their company. We were both private, so nobody, you only knew what you knew, right? And we talked, and I'll never forget the arrogance. Again, it's a little bit of the Northeast, and that's not fair, but it was, from us being Midwesterners, kind of what we said is you guys, I know you got the brand, I know you spent the money, but you ain't making any money. We're making money.
Did you tell them that in the meeting?
100%. And so when they said, hey, we'll do it, and it'll be a 70-30. It'll be this. We go, no, we'll do it, but we're going to be 60-40 us. We don't care if you're bringing more to the table. We're making money. We know how to do it right. We left the meeting.
Fell apart.
We left the meeting cordial. Nothing. Nobody got mean or anything. Reach out. Stopped it. Now I'm back on.
I'll pick you up when you do that. I'll
see
pick
that.
you up.
So so then we left, went to a bar, ordered some chicken wings because man, we were eating. It was like we were being served on a platter. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. We're just not used to stuff like that, right? Still I'm not, right? So chicken wings and a beer, that's what we think best. And so we went. I said, you know what? We will pick up the pieces when these guys fail. Now this
really
was
say that there.
100,
Was it consensus or who was the
100%?
all
of
five
us.
people?
We go. We will pick up the pieces when they fail. This was November of
of 01?
of 01. Yeah, and I'm sorry. This was November of
2?
This is November of 01. Yes. Yeah. And so
2 months after 9/11.
Yep. Exactly. And so then the following January, 2 months later, they filed.
Tell us about
and
this.
we didn't know that.
You had
right?
no idea.
They filed, and then it's one of those deals where you go, and this is where it goes back to Blue Stem. That's kind of where I went in the story. So we're sitting there going, dude, the creditors are all the guys that we bought hats from. They were all Zephyr, New Era, 47, Nike. Everybody was owed $5 million or more, right? And they weren't going to get it back. They filed, and we said, hey, we were trying to convince these vendors, hey, sell to us for nothing, damn near nothing, right? Pennies on the dollar because you're the creditor.
We'll buy the product because we're running all the
100%.
stores.
I mean, if you don't,
Yep.
you're never going to get it back. At least your $5 million is not going to go to waste. You already lost it. What do you got to lose? Unless you don't think this business is worth it. And you guys are headwear guys. Who else is going to do this?
So you went
right?
to the inventory providers first?
100%.
Did LIDS and them even know you were having those conversations?
Probably not, but we had to.
Yep.
We had to,
Yeah,
right?
you had to have some leverage going into the deal.
And then we got the deal done. Bob Dennis, Ken Coker did the heavy lifting because they were in the Delaware courts, and we put in a 90-day period of time, we put together a $16 million buy, and SKM out of Dallas, Saunders Carpenter Grew, was one of the groups, and then Blue Stem. So between them and some financing from
$20 million
LaSalle Bank, no,
total.
it was 16,
But I mean,
17
plus
million.
what Blue Stem had put in and funded over the years.
So at the end of the day, Blue Stem had $9 million into this deal. $9 million. And when we cashed out 3 years later, we went up there and handed them a check for $63 million. So they turned 9 into 63. And again, my numbers could be off $1 million, but they're not. They're awful close.
Are you looking for those today? Is that what you're doing?
Oh,
I'd love.
I tell you what, Mike and I, we'd throw somebody $9 million if they give us 63 in 7 years. I'll tell you that right now.
There's just no guarantee though.
And it's funny, and they told us, and by the way, Blue Stem Capital was an awesome partner. You talk about private equity. There's good private equity, and I've been involved with them, and there's private equity that you don't want to be involved with. You hear those stories and have been involved with it. These guys out of Blue Stem were good. They asked tough questions, but they let us run the business. They knew it was a risk, but it was a high risk, high reward kind of deal.
Still the current
And
environment
at the
today.
end of the day, I am so glad that it paid off because they did 4 other deals. And Jeremy's Ice Cream was one. I don't know the other 3, but I know that they struck out 3 times, hit a single, and we were a home run, and that's all they needed. I mean, it's a $5 million fund that produced $63 million plus. So
So when you said there's good venture capital, there's good money, and there's not so good money. Let's talk to people out here that are thinking about funding their business or have the great idea or who need to win that pitch. What's a good one? What's a bad one? Do you know going in? How do they know? Did you know, or are you just happy to have the money?
We were happy to have the money. I think what I've learned, and again, man, when you're a private equity, it's all about return. I get it.
That's you now, right? Your partners in some funds.
It is. It's all about return, but it's also are those people going to be willing to give you a little bit of rope to get it right? Are they gonna be there with you if whatever they put in isn't enough? Is it just a one-time shot and we're going to cut our losses? Because it depends on. That's where you got to look at it. Is this a fund that does 10 of these a year and they eat up and chew up and spit out 5 of them, and what's the, because you look at it and you go, dude, are we better off doing this a different way? I look back on it, we would have never We would have never, ever been able to get to inception. Let's call 5 stores inception because that's when the first million came. To selling it in 04. So that's 96 to 04. That's 8 years. And it went from zero to $180 million sale to a private to a public company. We'd have never gotten there. And then when you talk about Genesco being the person that bought us, Genesco owns Journeys, Johnson & Murphy.
So that's who you eventually sold to for $180 million.
That's who we sold to. Right. They were a public company, and they were a public company that they were stale, I guess would be a great way to put it. Great people. Some great people out of Nashville, Tennessee. Great people, but they were stagnant. Their stock had been $10 and under for years, and they were smart. They were a shoe company. They were smart enough to go, you know what? At the end of the day, we just need some life breathed into us. And they were one of 9 companies that were out there, courting us to buy. And for us, they were the best because they were retailers. They were going to leave us alone. Guys, we're going to give you capital. Grow. And
did they? Is that how it went?
100%.
How did you know them? How did you make that decision?
As far as making the decision to sell
to
them?
Can
I hit the restroom and come right back?
Yep, here we go. Yeah, hit the restroom. Do it. Hit the restroom. You better get ready for that story. Yeah. Hey, Boyd. Hey, when he comes back too, he said NBA earlier. We might have this LeBron and Jordan conversation. This will be exciting. This is going to get fun. He wants it. Hey, you heard he said he went to all the Super Bowls and the. Yep. When you heard that, you went, "Oh, this guy's been there."
Yeah, my ears perked up a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yep. So it'll be some World Series. It'll be All-Star games. One of the coolest stories. I got to do some neat things. We haven't touched on it a ton, but I was with Hat World and LIDS. It's where I learned a lot of the skills that started building the foundation that I learned culture. And I got to do some of these cool things. And I think in 2001, I went to the NBA All-Star game in D.C. and got to do some cool things. It was wild. That town was just wild during the All-Star game. But it was a neat experience. Iverson was there. I think he might have been the MVP in that game.
Yeah.
But that was an All-Star game. That wasn't Super Bowl. That wasn't World Series, right? That wasn't, like NBA Finals. We'll get some of those stories out of him because it's going to be exciting. We'll ask him maybe like the coolest opportunity or moment that he had and something he saw, a conversation he had. But I can't wait for this LeBron Jordan thing to get Glenn's perspective on it.
Yeah, I would love to hear Glenn's perspective.
I
already know what yours is. So,
what is mine? What is mine?
You're a LeBron hater.
I'm a LeBron hater.
Yeah.
You don't think it has something to do with I just think Jordan's just better?
I mean, that might be the case, but the way you talk about LeBron comes off as
I hate him.
A LeBron hater.
Do I give him credit for his skills though?
Sometimes. It's
okay.
Depending on what day it is.
Okay, that's good. Mm-hmm. That eighth day of the week.
You actually look good on that screen too.
Man, it's hard to make me look good, baby. It's really, really tough. So,
do I get one of these hats?
So he's back. Yeah, we got some. Go ahead, grab one if you want. Did you see that you don't like the black on black? You like that one?
Oh, dude, I love all these.
You put it on if you want.
This is my favorite.
Yeah, man. Yeah, what's up with those? Why are they so hard to get off?
I don't know. That's good. They ain't gonna fall off the rack.
So 47 made that, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
Company out of Boston. Good guys.
I love it, man. So were they around before Hat World?
Oh yeah.
See, I don't remember that brand being in stores back in the day with me.
Dude, it's been a while.
What would we have bought in?
I'll leave this on there. I'll leave the 47
Yeah, 98, 99. What would we have bought? What was 47 making for us then?
The cleanup and the franchise.
Oh yeah, they made the franchise.
Yeah, that's their hats.
Oh,
Yeah.
So LIDS didn't LIDS have the big relationship with them though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just LIDS.
When that franchise came in,
they love LIDS.
did they have? They were exclusive on that franchise. Then weren't they? It was
100%.
tough for us to get it.
Yeah, and so when LIDS filed, and we got to look behind the curtain, see what they were paying, what we were paying. That was a pretty tough conversation with the old 47.
Were they paying them a lot more?
they were giving them money.
Back.
They were giving them incentives, plus they were getting the product for a lot less. So, yeah. It was those are fun conversations. You finally got to peek behind the curtain, right? I mean, what's Walmart pay? What's the dime store pay? I mean, right?
It's probably like another half.
Yep.
Man, I tell you what.
So it was good.
So we left you. What did we leave you on? What story was he going to say, Mike?
What was I talking about?
I don't know. I might even forgot what we were talking about.
What story we were talking about?
I don't know.
You asked about.
But here's what we can talk about.
Yep.
So you said you've been in the room, so something fun and interesting to hear for sports fans. Mm-hmm. You've been to Super Bowls. You've been to World Series. You've been in the owner suites, the commissioner suites. Tell us, the most memorable story whether it's the game, whether it's somebody did something crazy and stupid, the person you met and had a conversation with that you were impacted, and you're like, wow. You're not really a guy who's starstruck, but
I'm really not. I really, the cool thing about all those events is that most of the people there just were regular people. I mean, when you met Steve Garvey, or you met Lou Brock, or you met, my most memorable is right here in Cincinnati. They brought us in. The coolest event I ever went to was in 2000. It was the 25-year anniversary of the Big Red Machine, right? Mm-hmm. And so
Pete, Joe Morgan, Concepcion.
It was maybe one of the best teams ever,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so the minor league baseball brought us back here. Elliot Runyon, Hernan Tudela, two of the greatest guys. They're still with minor league baseball, I think. They brought us here for a golf outing. And so, hell, from Indy, this is an easy trip, right? So I drove over. They put us up in a hotel, and we were going to golf and then go to a Reds game where they were honoring the 75 team. I think Pete Rose was invited back. I mean, it was a big deal here. And so, and for me, a baseball fan, I'm coming. I love it. I don't care if I like it.
It was a Riverfront Stadium.
Yeah, 100%.
Great American wasn't built until like 05 or something.
Right. So, I mean,
Yep.
this baseball, man. These are guys I grew up watching,
on
right?
that nasty
When I was a kid.
AstroTurf.
Oh, yeah. Ugly, just like old Busch Stadium, same deal. Yeah. And so, I got here, and so we golfed the day of the game, game 7 o'clock game. So we went out. So we're sitting there that morning, and they knew I was a Cardinal fan, right? They go, Glenn, you're golfing with Lou Brock, and I'm going, well, that's my all-time favorite player. That's my, I grew up watching him steal bases. Number 20 for the Cardinals. And Lou just passed away not too long ago. Him and his wife Jackie are good people, man. I've been with Lou quite a few times, but Lou is my all-time favorite Cardinal, and I got to golf with this guy. Now, bless his soul, he could not golf. He's a lefty, and everything he hit was dead. Dead. I mean, he was terrible, man. It was as bad as me.
Who are you to be evaluating
100%.
golf game?
Nobody. I'm not Tiger for sure. But
Tiger's son could whoop you if you saw what went down here
this
week.
Dude, that was unbelievable. That's a story. That's a different story.